Welcome back. We're considering our options with respect to the problem of free will, and we're up to the possibility that the world is deterministic and there's still free will, the view called soft determinism or compatibilism. In the last lesson, in the process of cleaning up some confusions, we considered an argument against compatibilism based on the principle of alternate possibilities, the idea that free will requires that I could have done otherwise. I responded that the argument is unsound, and it's unsound because it's invalid. It's invalid because it conflates determinism with fatalism, the claim that things will be the same in the future no matter what happened in the past. But determinism is not the same as fatalism, and determinism is entirely compatible with the claim that I could have acted differently had the past been different. In other words, determinism is compatible with the existence of alternate possibilities after all. But on top of that, there's reason to think the principle of alternative possibilities is simply false. It's not true that we never hold people responsible even when they could not have done otherwise. The argument against the principle of alternate possibilities hinges on examples that were first pointed out by the Princeton philosopher Harry Frankfurt, and so they've come to be known as Frankfurt Cases. The crash course video on compatibilism explains Frankfurt Cases through a science fiction example involving manipulating people's voting. But we shouldn't think that Frankfurt Cases are always outlandish and fantastical. There are more mundane versions. Here's a case. Sally is learning to drive. She's driving with her instructor in a special vehicle with dual controls. The instructor tells her to turn right. If Sally doesn't turn right, though, the instructor will take control and make the car go right. But that doesn't happen. Sally turns the wheel and the vehicle goes right. Here's another case. Suppose I tell my son to empty the dishwasher by 4 p.m. Although I don't tell him this, if he doesn't empty the dishwasher by 3:55, I'll stop whatever he's doing, probably causing his fortnight death and his embarrassment in front of his friends. I'll then force him to empty the dishwasher before 4 p.m. As it turns out, he empties the dishwasher as soon as school is over at 3 p.m., so I never intervene. In each of these cases, there's a plain sense in which the voter, or Sally the driver, or my son could not have done otherwise. The world was arranged in order to ensure a certain result. But in each case, the result is actually achieved without any external intervention. It's caused in the usual ways by ordinary beliefs and desires of the actors themselves. Although there might have been circumstances in which they were forced to do something, those circumstances didn't actually occur. In the actual circumstances, they acted on their own beliefs and desires. It's plausible that they acted freely and they're responsible for their actions. If so, the principle of alternate possibilities is false. And if the principle of alternate possibilities is false, then that's actually good news for compatibilism. But even if you don't think that Frankfurt Cases falsify the principle of alternate possibilities, you probably think the principle needs to be fixed up in some ways. If so, the question is, what can we learn from Frankfurt Cases about the kinds of alternate possibilities that we do, in fact, expect? Needless to say, okay, I'll say it. There's not one universally agreed upon lesson to be drawn, but there's at least a promising hint in what we've been discussing. In the Frankfurt Cases, the examples of voting, driving, and dishwasher emptying, the contrast is not between actions that are caused and actions that are not caused. The contrast, rather, is between actions that are coerced and those that are not coerced. When we're coerced, we're forced to do or not do something. Our own beliefs and desires are overridden by someone else or by circumstances. So it looks like we're prepared to treat people as being responsible and acting from free will, provided that their actions are not coerced. It's not that we demand their actions have no causes, it's that we want them to be caused in the right ways, or at least not in the wrong ways. So it's plausible that free will is compatible with determinism, provided that we can get a better handle on the right and wrong ways for actions to be caused. What are the wrong ways? Well, having our actions caused by random factors, such as they might be if the world is indeterministic, that's not good for the exercise of free will, for rational and free action. And being coerced, being caused to act in ways that are inconsistent with one's beliefs or that undermine one's status as an autonomous thinker, that's also bad for free will. The basic compatibilist idea is that what we want out of free will is not magic. It doesn't require that our actions are uncaused. What we want, rather, is that our actions are caused in the right way. In particular, we want to understand how we can be the causes of our actions, that is, for our actions to be caused by ourselves. Explaining how that works is a tricky business, but the answer does not depend on the truth or falsity of determinism. Instead, it's much more like a question about what kinds of psychological capacities we have, how they work, and when they're functioning correctly. If this is right, then whether we have free will is not so much a question of physics or metaphysics, but it's a question for psychology and the philosophy of mind. And so, here we are.